Anyways, let's go ahead and talk about China's Huawei launching AI chips to fill the Nvidia void. China's Huawei Technologies has stepped up to fill the void in AI chips, now that the US has effectively barred Nvidia from selling AI chips to Chinese customers. Nvidia's stock fell Monday. Huawei plans to begin mass shipments next month of alternative to Nvidia's now banned H2O processor. Reuters reported Monday Huawei has already made some shipments of the new artificial intelligence chip called the 910C, Reuters said. The 910C achieves performance comparable to Nvidia's H100 chip by combining two N10B processors into a single package through advanced integration techniques, the report said. The H100 chip is an older Nvidia processor released in October of 2022. Earlier this month, the Trump administration told Nvidia it would need to export an export license to sell its custom H2O processor in China and other restricted countries. Nvidia is taking a write-off of up to $5.5 billion for inventory in its fiscal first quarter, indicating that it does not expect to be granted any licenses. Nvidia rival AMD received a similar trade ban for its MI308 products from the Trump administration. AMD expects to take charge of up to $800 million to write off inventory and purchase commitments related to AI chip sales to China. Nvidia, so on the stock market today, Nvidia stock dropped 4.5% to close at 96.91. AMD stock retreated 2.2% to close at 85.56. Huawei plans to release its next generation AI chip called the Ascend 920 later this year. The Ascend 920 supposedly offers performance comparable to the Nvidia H2O, Tom Hardware's reported. China's SMIC is reportedly manufacturing the chips for Huawei. One question is whether SMIC has the production capabilities in place to support China's burgeoning AI demand, given the increase in advanced semiconductor processing requirements. SMIC purportedly remains challenged to match desirable yields, he said, but if SMIC can surmount these issues and U.S. restrictions remain in place, eventually new offerings from Huawei could permanently constrict Nvidia's opportunity in China. Year to date, Nvidia stock is down nearly 28% on concerns about trade restrictions and ongoing demand for AI processors for data centers. Huawei is a big player for chip manufacturing, and coming into place here could shake things up a lot. I'm not so sure that restricting Nvidia from selling chips to China is the best idea. And I'd like to hear y'all's thoughts on it. From a competitive perspective, wouldn't you want a US-based company to be basically in charge of making all of those chips, even if you're selling some of them to a competitor? Now I get it, AI is supposedly supposed to be extremely powerful. There are military consequences for this in particular, but economically, it could damage the United States more than it helps it to stop Nvidia from selling them to China. And then if Huawei uses this opportunity to catch up to Nvidia on the AI side of things, then things look worse and worse for Nvidia at the end of the day. Now, there's going to be, obviously, from a, conservative capitalist perspective, I suppose you want restrictions on those things to prevent, or you want to put guardrails on it. From the independent side, I'm sure you want, the independent side, you would say full unbridled capitalism. Maybe that's not the answer either. There has been this kind of weird middle ground where Nvidia sells the D chips to China, like the 5090D, the 4090D, etc. I don't know how impactful or how big of a difference it will end up being. or preventing like a 4090 being sold over a 4090D at the end of the day. I mean, we saw DeepSeek with R1 come out, and I'm by no means an expert in AI, but my understanding is that was all done on AMD chips and pretty low end hardware in general. And as we've seen, we've seen this on the gaming side of things where you need less and less powerful hardware as technology progresses. So by restricting the powerful hardware, you're almost helping the competitor advance because they're having to work within lower constraints, meaning that they are moving towards the goal of utilizing less and less power to achieve the same results, thereby advancing further technologically than you are because you have access to more power, right? It's the same thing happened in the auto industry, right? Slowly and slowly, 4-cylinder turbos got faster and faster and faster and faster to the point to where even trucks are being sold with like V6 turbos as opposed to being sold with V8s in them. And the power is comparable to that of an old V8, if not more in a lot of cases. I assume the same thing happens with chips at the end of the day, because the software being designed around utilizing less powerful equipment would be more advantageous than if you just let them have the more powerful equipment. I don't know. That's just me as a critical thinker going through the process in my head of like, does this make sense to restrict it or does it not? Economically, to me, it makes no fucking sense and is only hurting us economically, right? That's how I feel about it, but I'd like to hear what you guys think too. I hope you enjoyed this clip from the Crypto Mining Show. If you would like to see more from this particular episode, take a look up here. Don't forget to also subscribe to the channel, and if you want to support me directly, you can go to sonofatech.locals.com and become a member. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next Tuesday.